from the bottom of my heart, again, calling the attention of Mr. President. Before President Donald Trump declared martial law in the entire United States of America, acknowledge Gzion as a legal tender of Maharlika nation, an independent tribal nation, so that the prophecy that the Philippine Islands under universal divine government will become the most powerful country in the world. Hello, so magandang gabi po sa lahat ng aking mga followers sa munting tinig ng ordinaryong Maharlika at munting tinig ng ordinaryong Filipino followers. Ako po si Dato EMMANUEL Magsisibya ng Maharlika Nation, a simple person, pero ako po ay nagagala sapagkat kahit papaano meron naman pong naniniwala sa akin at sa lahat po ng aking mga sinasabi from the very beginning, na tumindig po tayo sa ating paninindigan na hindi na po dapat kailangan pang-apihin ang mga katulad po natin na mga mahihirap o mga mayayaman na dalisay naman po ang kanilang kalooban. So, simula ngayong araw at the same time ngayong gabi, ako po lubos na nagpasalamat sapagkat pinagkatiwala po sa akin ang mga mahalagang dokumento at mahalagang mga usapin at mga write-ups na kung saan ay makakatulong upang maliwanagan po ang taong bayan, not only here in the people of the world, not only here in the Philippine Island, in Maharlika Nation, but of course, people of the world can really understand what I am doing. And thank you so much for the support and thank you so much for the trust. At this point of time, allow me to speak second language, at the same time our universal language, so that people of the world can understand what we are talking. And I hope that no negative comments at this point of time, because I need your understanding. When, for example, you don't really agree of what I am doing, please keep it into yourself, analyze what I am talking. I don't have any intention to argue at this point of time, because my point is that to unleash the truth of what is really happening at this point of time. I am not an expert. I am also depending on the Council of Elders through the write-ups. And I do believe that my standpoint, my principles in line to the redemption of dignity at the same time of the Filipino people, Maharlikan people, and of course, Gzion people. So at this point of time, allow me to read to you the content of what we call this, the write-ups, and at the same time the letters of one of my friends. I cannot disclose the what we call this, the identity of the one who, of course, their companion really trust, no, their wisdom and their knowledge in order for all people of the world will understand what I am doing. So at this point of time, I'd like to read my caption. No, my caption is very simple. My caption is very simple. Prosperity funds will be released. Okay, very simple caption. Prosperity fund or prosperity, love and peace to all, the beginning of new era for the people of the world to be released. So the content of my live tonight is about the prosperity, about the love, and at the same time peace and harmony. No? 2016 is the beginning of new era of supposed to be releasing the so-called real wealth of the nation. So please stand by, people of the world. I will be having my live tonight, no, Philippine Standard Time, and I will be reading an important details that maybe shock the world. Okay? Always remember that the victory is ours, Maharlikans. Bathala is in our side. Kaya, be strong in the midst of our weaknesses. So at this point of time, maniwala man kayo o hindi sa aking sasabihin, nasa sa inyo na po yan. Ako ay isang instrumento lamang ng mga salita, ng mga ideya na pinagkakatiwala po sa akin upang ipaabot sa inyong ang lahat, no? Sa inyo na mga naniniwala. So at this point of time, I will be reading to you and I will be discussing to you the content of the so-called letter from one of my friends na pinapasabi sa inyo sa buong mundo. So prosperity, love, and peace to all, the beginning of new era for the people of the world to be released. Here are the material notices. Happy New Era, Year of Prosperity, Love, and Peace to all. The beginning of new era for the people of the world to be released from long years of economic slavery. For your information, the American people, or the Americans already awake for long years of sleeping. The 2016, at this point of time, 2020, will start with a big bang. Manifestation of big changes to dark cabal, manipulated economic data, banking cartel, headed by the Federal Reserve System. Again, the Americans already awake. Awake to a long years of sleeping. The 2016 up to this point of time, 2020, will start a big bang, manifestation of big changes to dark cabal, wherein manipulated economic data, banking cartel, headed by the Federal Reserve System. First, big bang of stock market crash. As you observe, the global digital stock market were crashed down to the biggest losses from 2016 at this point of time. You know what is the average magnitude? In China, there are a matter of 7 to 10 points. That prove that the cabal manipulated economic data / stock market cannot hold anymore to the economic Armageddon. As usual, the dark cabal, mainstream media, control the financial effect by printing minimal real negative data, including the pandemic coronavirus. During the 1929 to 1930, as the letter content, First Depression, United States stock crashed to just 2.00 points. Thousands of banks and corporations were closed, and individual, unfortunately, committed suicide. The global stock market now is like a balloon. So no more assets cash, all are air, digital figure. Sweat and blood, hard-earned funds of investors, funds of workers, as you observe, retirement funds, invested by poor retirees and innocent investors, victim of stock crime of manipulation, will like a bubble in split second, nothing left. At this point of time, the stock market manipulation is like a time bomb that ready to explode any second now. That is why the dark cabal reign will already end. The dark cabal lash array to raise funds. You know what? The bank deposits were secretly being transferred without the knowledge of the depositors. Remittances from other nations, as you observe, will continue, will encounter internationally delayed. And at this point of time, banks officer will start to be questioned by depositors for losing their deposits. And the second one is that, based on the information that entrusted me as a spokesperson of Maharlika, as an ordinary person, the American judge, I know you know her, Anna Maria Reisinger, the Judge Anna von Rich of Alaska, calling the 390 million positive negative Americans to wake up. Wake up regarding the real status of the total debt officially. 19.1 trillion from year 2016, and I don't know how much trillion of United States dollar. The hidden debts of United States of America is a matter of 279 trillion to 319 trillion US dollar. And the individual debt as American citizen. That is why Federal Reserve System, yung Fed na sinasabi, at malimit nating naririnig kay President Trump, by the United Nations Congress, tinan natin na, United States Central Bank was created December 24 to 25, 1913 by the United States Central Bank. Okay? The 390 million Americans during the time of 2016, now can you please compute it? We are now in 2020. Americans were buried to the mountain of debts. Can you just imagine that? A matter of 319 trillion US dollar by Federal Reserve. Since the creation of the Fed, it printed more than a matter of 319 trillion fiat US dollar without precious commodity. And what are these precious commodity? Gold, silver, platinum, diamond, and at the same time, future of the United States federal government in the end by the American people with an average of 817,948 US dollar per head. So meaning there are a matter of 319 trillion US dollar ang utang ng bawat Americans. So in comparison, there is what we call official debt and hidden debt by the Americans. So as usual, United States government official debt is 19.10 trillion US dollar. So average debt printed is a matter of 300 trillion US dollar. So can you just imagine that? Now what is the present scenario and partial solution to this problem? The intelligent Americans are blind and willing victim of the dark cabal manipulation for not stopping to operate the main culprit. And what is the main culprit? The Federal Reserve System in no limit of printing United States dollar. Now, i-explain ko ito sa inyo mamaya in order for you to understand para i-connect ko sa aking pinaglalaban. There is what we call, during that time, there is a transfer, the printing of new United States dollar to the United States Treasury and back up to gold standard. No gold deposit at the Fort Knox. You know this Fort Knox? United States Depository Vault only source solution where to get precious commodities. What are the precious commodities? The gold, the silver, the platinum, diamond, etc. to back up the United States dollar. That is why very clear that according to President Trump, United States has no gold. So therefore, the US dollar automatically, logically, and rationally has no gold backup. Therefore, their money is fiat and has no value. So this is now the time that we need to reveal the truth behind the truth of the superpower country na sinasabi nila. So at this point of time, there is what we call an idea supposed to be from 2016. At this point of time, if I am not mistaken, there is a recognizing. We need to recognize the September 10, 1976, and that is what we call sovereign agreement, signed by United States President Gerald Ford and Philippine President Ferdinand Idralin Marcos regarding the buyback of the Philippines or the buyback of the Philippine island under Land Original Certificate Title. That is what we call OCT 779. With constant measurement, how much? 452,000 square kilometers in the amount of 20 billion earning US dollar or 20 billion US dollars. Earning, alam mo kung magkano ang tubo? 4% per annum. Or what we call this, heritage gold of 10,000 metric tons with present value of 18 trillion US dollar to 21 US dollar during the year of 2016. Positive, negative. Ano ang gagawin dito? To be what we call this, to be used as initial backup for the new United States dollar currency to be printed by the United States Treasury. To receive the 10,000 metric tons of heritage gold, the following must be recognized and be implemented by the following nations and agencies. The United States Congress, the International Court of Justice, and all nations of the world, member or non-member of the United Nations. That is why you cannot question the existence of Maharlika nation. Must have non-voting ratification of the September 10, 1976 and September 11, 201, and that is what we call sovereign agreement. It is very neat recognizing the International Court of Justice, January 25, 2006. There is what we call a final decision started November 20, 1945 on the ICJ, International Court of Justice, case number 4136 regarding the alleged claim of almost all nations against the Axis power. And what are those Axis power? Germany, Japan, and Italy. Looted their assets and properties during the World War II, brought, buried in hidden, buried here in the Philippines. The United Nations Peacekeeping Force, with the support of the United Nations or United States military, were peacefully, physically torn over the land. Water bodies and air space covered by the OCT number 771 or 779 rather, 779 with constant measurement of 452,000 square kilometers of the Philippine island, including Luzon, in order for you to be knowledgeable of what I am talking. And thank you so much for this very, very full of wisdom write-ups. The United Nations Peacekeeping Force, with the support of the United States military, will peacefully, physically turn over the land, the water, and airspace covered by the OCT 779, with constant measurement of 456,000 square kilometers of the Philippine island, including what? The Sabah, Labuan. Including the Sabah, Labuan. Claimed by Malaysia at this point of time. Claimed by Malaysia. Some part of Formosa, claimed by Taiwan. Hawaii, Guam, Palau, no? And some West Indies claimed by United States of America and United Kingdom. Others, Spratly Group of Island and Scarborough Shoal, claimed by China at this point of time. Can you just imagine that? To the recognized administrator of the International Court of Justice, ICJ, in the person of KASMW. Third point that I want you to understand: good governance. When you talk about good governance, at this point of time, almost all nations on earth are being run by the corrupt political and election system, starting from election of officials, permitting spending so much money in the campaign. Can you just imagine that they spend 1,000 times more than to their incoming salary? Elected official has no choice but of course to corrupt. Nagasto sila ng malaki to pay for the campaign fund supporters. More than 100 times. So new form of government will be introduced to eradicate corruption, to be supported by the modern technologies. Many political leaders in 44 nations will be replaced. Bilangin na ninyo kung ilan. Fourth, legal source of funds available to all nations through universal fund organizations under the Maharlika International Bank and the Trustee Bank of the World War I and World War II reparation funds are all available, people of the world. In average of what? $156,250 per person, a so-called prosperity fund. So giving priority to senior citizens, distribution for prosperity funds are the following. So $156,250. Fifth, can you just imagine that? Meron pang mga health supposed to be lifetime health insurance and lifetime pension. That's what Maharlika Nation wanted you to receive. In the fifth point of my topic at this point of time, there is what we call the Chinese aggression on Spratly Group of Island. So the Chinese government will lose trillions of US dollar in stock market, calamities, and other fortuitous event if the Chinese will continue to show aggression to Spratly Group of Islands owned by the Filipino people based on the ruling of International Court of Justice. Based on the decision dated January 25, 2006, started November 20, 1945. So mayroon ng mga babala. When the Chinese continued their aggression and wanted to claim the Spratly Island and Scarborough Shoal under the name of the Filipino people, calamities will continue attacking China. To show aggressions. Now, at this point of time, I want you to understand that there is what we call, based on the information that I received, there is what we call a global conspiracy against to the Philippines. Filipino people must now be stopped. At this point of time, the global conspiracy against to the Philippines, Filipinos must now be stopped. All nations, supposedly, must now enjoy the global prosperity, the love, and peace to be brought by recognizing the 9 January 25, 2006 of International Court of Justice. Final decisions, case number 4136. But, because Maharlika are very generous enough, people of Maharlika are trained to be generous, giving without expecting in return. Regarding the alleged looted assets and properties by the Axis power, ninakawan tayo Ninakawan tayo ng Germany, ninakawan tayo ng Japan, ninakawan tayo ng Italy. Kaya can you just imagine that? Ang Italy now is almost locked down. And the Germany are almost locked down. And the Japan will follow. And the September 10, 1976 Sovereign Agreement. So in the 7th point of my life today, globally, more monarchy and elite families will be divulged and involved in several crimes against humanity. And corruption will be arrested and be imprisoned. Nagsisimula na ngayon silang magtago dahil sa coronavirus. Manipulated by the cabal. Hindi kayo magtatagumpay. Lalabas at lalabas ang mga bakot ninyo. Okay? At this point of time, we want justice to all Filipino people who have blooded Maharlikans. The Filipinos started to rejoice justice in the past. Can you just imagine that? 2015, nanalo si Miss Pia Wurzbach, Alonso Wurzbach sa Miss Universe in the United States. According to the information that I received, if honest mistakes of real justice, it is a good sign. Nung panahon na in-announce na nanalo ang kalaban ni Miss Pia Wurzbach as Miss Universe, but Steve Harvey automatically, correct his mistakes, the honest mistakes. That is the start. That is a good sign. There is what we call a global conspiracy in all aspects of life against the Philippines, against Filipino people. Leaders of the dark cabal, nations are manipulating since the time of President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos left in Malacanang. Or left in the material world. What do you mean by left in material world? Namatay si President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos. That is what we call material world. But the spirit will continue hunting those cabal who oppress Filipino people who have blooded Americans. At this point of time, Based on the letters, the elections in other nations in the world, can you just imagine? Many changes will happen from January 2016. No, there is January 2016 to February 2016 up until this point of time that will change the global scenario. Other countries has no elections, right? So no election scenario are all possible to change the corrupted political and election system. Nag-step down ang mga leaders because sabi nila for the sake of delicadeza. Election will, what we call this, extend the corrupt political and election system. Election will, there are what we call, why? Because they spend a matter of more than 1,000 times in their incoming salary that will leave no choice but to what we call involves in corruption. Corrupt people's taxes, corrupt people's taxpayers' money directly or indirectly to pay the campaign funds spent during the elections. But today, in this particular year, from 2016 up to 2020, there will be what we call economic patriotic law. We need, that's why I urge the President, must be passed, supposed to be, by the Philippine Congress to stop the bleeding of corruption, the bleeding of corruption. If not, the sweat and blood hard-earned taxpayers' money will be drained by the corrupt and heartless politicians, government officials, and the elite family tirelessly sucking the blood taxes money of the Filipino people. But when it comes to spiritual concept, there is what we call, look at the spiritual concept or aspects of our life here on earth. There is what we call now a global conflict in the same religion. Are very common, new brought by civil war. Corruption, spirituality must be the common solution by the people of the world in setting aside conflict in religion. Love is the twin of spirituality that unites everybody. Love must be the first thing to be implemented by any individual to avoid conflict. Material money, not greed for money. Yes, is it true that people need material money, material needs, and oneness in spirituality is the spiritual and material mission of everyone here on earth. Now, there is what we call respecting the 121,000 religion. Based on the statistics, there are a matter of 121,000 religion in the world. Is the sign of spirituality that will end the oneness of the people of the world. That is why President Trump look at unseen creatures, the galactic brothers and sisters created by the Prime Creator are now here in the blue planet to help people of the world to release from his economic slavery being manipulated by the dark cabal for thousands of years ago. To help to provide to the people of the world the prosperity, love, and peace to all. That's why at the end of the day, the will of God always prevailed against the will of man. Kaya ang dami pa mga material notices that you need to. In the month of love, February, the greatest gift of Mother God, Father God, and Jesus, silently and secretly, the key for the opening of Global Prosperity Fund. That's why hindi ninyo kaya pigilan. Isipin mo, in the month of love, February, can you just imagine that? Nag-live tayo 2020, 2020, mayroon ng mga patalatandaan 2016, hindi lang na-realize Right time, right people, right place. In the month of love, February, the greatest gift of Mother God, Father God, and Jesus, silently and secretly, the key for the opening of Global Prosperity Fund was executed without the knowledge of the players. The good and evil events happened for the benefits of mankind. Up to the present, the dark cabal, financing war, economic, financial chaos will now cease to exist. There will be an introduction of new banking system were already in place and presently operational. Only few light workers who can stand to pressure to the present dark cabal corrupt banking system will be part of new governance to be implemented by the group of light workers. All nations will become debt-free upon acceptance of the new banking system under International Bank of Maharlika, promoting the Universal Fund organizations. The central bank of all central banks in the world, International Bank of Maharlika. All currency will be backed up to gold, precious commodity, backup system. The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund will cease to operate because all nation has sufficient prosperity fund without gold, precious commodities backup coming from the International Bank of Maharlika. The 7.5 billion people of the world will all receive the prosperity fund in cash, in kind. Rich and particularly the poor will receive the war reparation fund, starting from food and cash support projects. All families will receive the grocery and cash after the food and cash support projects globally to finance the 9 projects of Maharlikan nation. Infrastructure, reforestation, food, clothing, houses. The next immediate projects are back pay pension funds for the senior citizens, elderly people of the world, OFW, and foreign green projects program. Chinese real economic and financial scenario is now being divulged in public. Many ghost city and municipality housing, the mall, office, building were developed without occupants that support their artificial economic miracle. Hundreds of millions are living in extreme and hunger poverty that may result of civil war in the coming days. The more bullying the Chinese doing is more environmental disasters they will experience. That is why at this point of time, Chinese wanted to cook up all their crimes. That is why they are considered as the 2 witnesses stated in the Bible, including Russia. That is why when you research, look at Chinese, they are ghost city, municipality, area, housing that you cannot hide. The present global economic condition is under the ICU in a stage level 4 comatose condition that any time disaster cannot be covered up by the dark cabal. And one of that disaster is the so-called coronavirus. The present global economic condition is under the ICU in a stage 4 level comatose condition that any time disaster cannot covered up by the dark cabal. That is why the only legal solution is number 1, the International Court of Justice final decision in the ICJ case number 4136 dated January 25, 2006, started November 20, 1945, regarding the looted assets of the Axis power. Looted assets of the Axis power, Japan, Germany, and Italy during the Second World War and the September 10, 1976, the Sovereign Agreement. At the same time, September 10, signed by the United States President Gerald Ford and Philippine President Ferdinand Edrelin Marcos regarding the buyback of the Philippine Islands under the OCT 779 with constant measurement of 452 square kilometers that include Sabah, Labuan, Spratly Group of Islands, some part of Formosa, Taiwan, Hawaii, Guam, Palau, and some West Indies island in the amount of $20 billion US, earning 4% interest per annum or 10,000 metric tons of gold. In the coming days, the blessed land of the island of ancient Maharlika, the Philippines, will rise to become the financial system of the world. And the Philippines will become the spiritual center of the world under the universal divine government. The will of God always prevails against the will of men. And thank you so much for the trust na binigay po sa akin in order for me to tell the whole world what is really happening at this point of time. Alam niyo, we are now waiting for the declaration of President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump wanted to declare martial law in the coming days in the entire United States of America. All banking institutions, corrupt officials, entertainers, who malign, who mischief the attentions of morality of every individual. Magbabayad kayo. Pero ito lang ang masasabi ko, in my own analysis, when President Donald Trump declared martial law in the entire United States of America, the realizations of what we call currency with gold backup will prosper. But the problem is, I'd like to inform President Trump that your enemy is in your house. That's why do not put too much trust to the member of your cabinet. Because Mr. President Trump, Donald Trump, Maharlikan people loves you so much. You are a partner of President Duterte to realize the distributions of the wealth of Bathala. At this point of time, be cautious of your actions. Make sure, Mr. President Donald Trump, that when you declared martial law, make sure before putting the entire United States of America under military rule, make sure the loyalty of your cabinet members. Because the declaration of martial law will be a predicament or deterrent of the end of your presidency as President of the United States of America. And I'd like to tell the whole world that when President Donald Trump declared martial law in the United States of America, all countries all over the world will put their nations under military rule. Just to what we call this, put military as the sole power to protect the health of humanity. But do not let the program of cabal manipulated you. That is the reason why I don't like, I am not really 100% believe the generosity of Bill Gates of donating $100 million US, where in fact, last 2015, he already mentioned that there is what we call pandemic that will come in the universe in order for them to release the funds for vaccination. You cannot defeat the will of Bathala. Lahat kayo, magbabayad kayo lahat-lahat. That is why my appeal to President Donald Trump of the United States of America, make sure that when you put United States under martial law, make sure that your men are loyal to you. Or else, that will be the end of the beginning. I know, Mr. Trump, that you wanted to save the welfare of not only Americans, but the people of the world. But admit that you don't have any solution but to what we call this, make a resolution, a pronouncement to the public that all currency of the world will be backed up by gold. Habang hindi pa po huli ang lahat. That is what, from the bottom of my heart, again, calling the attention of Mr. President. Before President Donald Trump declared martial law in the entire United States of America, acknowledged Gzion as a legal tender of international, of what we call this, Maharlika nation, an independent tribal nation. So that the prophecy that the Philippine Islands under universal divine government will become the most powerful country in the world. That is the main reason why you cannot understand what I am talking if you don't know how to open your hearts. And I am very much happy because person who really put so much trust, even though I cannot protect myself, but I already started this informing people of the world that this is what we need to do. I will be now reading to you the spiritual and material notices regarding the true origin of the new islands of the ancient Maharlika. 900 years ago, the origin of the new islands of ancient Maharlika. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, because I will make separate videos, then I will upload it to the Facebook of mine and you can save it. There is what we call spiritual and material notices regarding the true origin of the new island of ancient Maharlika. Year 900. King Bernardo Carpio, map 333, came from Edam, member of Portuguese royal family, integrated or migrated in the Maharlika Island at became the longest reigning ruler with 3 daughters, Maria Makiling, Maria Banahaw, and Maria Sinukuan. During those years, the Maharlika Island was rich in precious commodity that invaded by other nations. Islands was rich in precious commodity that invaded by other nations or other nation traders. The Mongolian, Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and other nations. What are those precious commodity? Nandyan yung gold, andyan yung silver, andyan yung diamond, the platinum, the artifacts, and many, many heritage items owned by the King Bernardo Carpio. All the treasures were scattered globally in the different parts of the world by the traders. And who are the traders? They are what we call the Mongolian and other nations. Way back to the history of the Philippine Island occupations, in 1521, based on the wisdom of the person who really put so much trust in me, there is a Portuguese navigator in person of Ferdinand Magellan, 1521. At nanunungkulan siya under what we call this, the King of Spain, discovered and conquered the Maharlikan Island and named Philippines, it under the Spanish royal king Philip. In 1762 hanggang 1764, there is what we call British monarch government under King George III, conquered the Philippine Islands for 2 years, and able to survey and produce the land original certificate of title. And that is what we call the OCT 779 with constant measurement of 452,000 square kilometers. In 1765 to 1898, there is what we call the Spanish monarch government was able to regain control of the Philippine island. And the Spanish monarch was able to produce, the new land title, original certificate. And that is what we call covering. What we call Spanish monarch. The Spanish monarch was able to produce the new land title certificate, OCT, number 4136, covering the whole Philippine Islands. At dyan na ngayon ang the titulo de propiedad under the Royal Decree OCT 01-4. Grabe, no? So, in 1700s to what we call this, 1700s, wait lang medyo mabagal po yung ating, tawag nito, yung ating internet. Hindi nyo ito makikita, pinagkatiwala ito sa akin. Pinagkatiwala ito sa akin, hindi ko pwedeng itago. In 1700 to 1800s, listen, Muslim brothers and sisters, the Sultanate of Sulu helped Sultanate of Brunei to quash your prices, the inside rebellion that for thanks and gratitude, the Sultanate of Brunei gave the whole island of Sabah, Labuan, to the Sultanate of Sulu. Again, listen, brothers and sisters in a Muslim community. In 1700s to 1800s, Sultanate of Sulu helped Sultanate of Brunei to quash, suppress the inside rebellion. Ito yung sinasabi ko noon sa inyo na ang Sabah, Malaysia, ay part po ng Maharlika Island or Maharlika Kingdom. So dahil sa generosity ng Sultanate of Brunei, dahil na-suppress nila yung rebellion in 1700s to 1800s, the Sultanate of Brunei gave the whole island of Sabah and Labuan to the Sultanate of Sulu. That is why nabugna o na-create noong 1877 or 1878, ito yung January 22, ang nangyari dito is the less agreement between Sultanate of Sulu, represented by Sultan Jamalul Kiram or Alam, Sultan Jamalul Alam, and British North Borneo Company, represented by Sir Alfred Dent and Baron von Overbeck leasing the whole Sabah, North Borneo and Labuan for a period of till the end of time and forever in the amount of 5,000 pesos. In 1903 to 500 or 5,300 Mexican peso. You can validate it. You can ask the Malaysian government about it. So in 1892, March of 1992, the subless of Labuan, March, Dr. Jose Perizal, representing La Liga Filipina, less the island of Labuan, 100,000 hectares positive negative to the British North Borneo for 999 years through Mr. W.B. Pryor. Sino ito siya? Siya ay administrator. Representing Sir Alfred Dent for $4 per hectare. That is the reason why Dr. Jose Rizal funds came from winning a lottery in Germany. So in 1896, yung kinikilala nating Dr. Jose Rizal, ang ating ginagalang na bayani, na kung nagsabi yung hindi marunong lumingon sa pinanggalingan ay hindi makakarating sa paroonan, both the Philippines island to the Spanish royal family monarch, including the old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio, that caused for Dr. Jose Rizal's arrest for filing of case against Dr. Jose Rizal that brought mock trial revolted for death penalty of firing squad. Na ngayon, alam niyo na kung anong kasaysayan. Akala ninyo kasi, kaya marami pang magtulong sa akin upang ilabas ang katotohanan sa mundo. Uulitin ko ha, in 1996, Dr. Jose Rizal brought the Philippine Island, both Philippine Islands, binili ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Philippine Islands to the Spanish royal family monarch, including the old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio, that caused for Dr. Jose Rizal's arrest. Yun ang naging dahilan. Pinalabas lang yung ayaw niya sa Katoliko, mga pare, sa mga private. And for filing a case, pinailan siya ng kaso against Dr. Jose Rizal that brought mock trial resulted for death penalty of firing squad. But before Dr. Jose Rizal was arrested, he entrusted the old text map and original titulo de propiedad numero 4136 to trusted person, to trusted friend, and instructed to print more copies so that the Spanish government cannot trace the original. And Bernardo Carpio was entrusted to correct, makinig kayo. Before Dr. Jose Rizal was arrested, he entrusted the old text map and original titulo de propiedad numero 4136 to trusted friend and instructed to print more copies so that the Spanish government cannot trace the original titulo numero 4136. Okay? From Adam and Bernardo Carpio was entrusted to Andres Bonifacio. That resulted for his brother and Bonifacio captive and death. Doon ang naging dahilan kung bakit pinatay ang kapatid at ni Andres Bonifacio. So itong the old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio fall to the hand of General Emilio Aguinaldo. Kasi in-entrusted dito ni Adam at saka ni King Bernardo Carpio sa kanilang kaibigan na si Andres Bonifacio. Ito namang si Emilio Aguinaldo, pinatay si Andres Bonifacio, that later sold to the United States government for 10 million, 5 to 10 million US dollar. Gusto ninyo ng history, ng kasaysayan? Pues isa-isahin natin. So, in 1898, December 10, 1898, the Treaty of Paris after the death of firing squad of Dr. Jose Rizal at Bagong Bayan Kuno, Luneta, more aggressive fights for independence were launched by many groups of Filipino that forced the Spanish government resold their interest in the Philippine Islands to the United States of America in the amount of 20 million United States dollar. But it was being ratified by both nations, United States of America and Spain, dated April 11, 1899. So take note that United States, though they have the original map from Adam and Bernardo Carpio, that will support the buying of interest of the Philippine Islands from Spain, spiritual and material from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio, yan ang ating titingnan. Now, based on the information that was entrusted to your lingkod, na hinahamak, pinapahiya, inaalipusta, sinasabiang manluloko, dahil sa pinagkalat ko ang kalayaan ng Maharlikan Nation at ang Maharlikan tribe. Listen. The old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio contained the locations of the Holy Father wealth that entrusted to spiritual heads. Listen. The old text map, because there is what we call spiritual and material. Sabihin pa natin, okay, sige, you hold the original copy of the OCT-01-4. But the spiritual and material mystery of all text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio, yan yung bantayan natin. Now, the old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio contained the location of the Holy Father wealth that entrusted to spiritual heads. Number 1, Mother Maria Makiling, Mother Maria Banahaw, Mother Maria Sinukuan, King Bernardo Carpio Infinito Rizal, and President Ferdinand Emmanuel E. Dralin Marcos. Again, the old text map from Adam and King Bernardo Carpio contained the locations of the Holy Father wealth that entrusted to spiritual heads, Mother Maria Makiling, Mother Maria Banahaw, Mother Maria Sinukuan, King Bernardo Carpio, Infinito Rizal, and President Ferdinand Emmanuel Idralin Marcos, with spiritual authority that to be administered by a person with a pure heart and without self-vested interest, to keep this Holy Father physical wealth of precious commodities for personal interest. In 1899 onward, the American government received many questions regarding the Spanish title under Titulo de Propiedad, numero 4136. So therefore, the United States government junked that Titulo de Propiedad and adopt the British or COCT number 779. Saan na ngayon ang claim ninyo na OCT 01-4? Since British is the mother country of United States, the United States government adopted the British monarch government land original certificate of title OCT number 779 with constant measurement of 456,000 square kilometers that include the island of Saba, Labuan, Spratly Group of Island, Scarborough Shoal, some parts of Formosa, Taiwan, Hawaii, Guam, Palau, West Indies Island. So note, from April 11 to 1899 onwards, there is what we call the final ratification of the United States and Spain on December 10, 1898. The Treaty of Paris regarding the selling of interest of the Spanish government in the Philippine Islands to the United States government for a matter of $20 million. So the Philippine Islands was under the control and ownership of the United States of America. Now, in 1914 to 1918, there started the World War I after the death of Archduke Ferdinand, and German government initiated the World War I. So, dumating yung 1916 onward, starting this year, the Philippines received the promise of independence under the Jones Law from the American government as soon as stable government can be established after the World War I. So in 1918, to stop the World War, there is what we call peace agreement. Was signed under the Treaty of Versailles in Mirror Palace, Versailles, France, giving punishment to the German government to pay total World War I damages of a matter of 33 trillion to 186 trillion US dollar. So that's why, in 1945, napanganak na siguro kayo nito, no? Napanganak na kayo nito, no, November 1945, November 20 to 1945, after the end of the World War I, or World War II rather, August 9, 1945, the Allied Nation established the United Nations Organizations. United Nations Organizations. August 9, 1945. The Allied Nation established the United Nations Organizations and different charters organizations, including the International Court of Justice, including the Committee 300, chaired by King George V. In the period, almost all nations, include Republic of China, Taiwan, were instated in what we call this, the letter of instruction of the late President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos. Hindi ako ang nagbigay ng pangalan, ha. Totoo yan, ha. Ang pangalan ni President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos. Okay, November 20, 1945, after the end of the World War II, on August 9, 1945, the old Allied Nations established the United Nations Organization, no, yung UNO. So the different charters, organization, including the International Court of Justice, yung ICJ, including the Committee of 300, ng chairman ay si King George V. So in the period, almost all nations, no, that includes Republic of China, nandyan yung Taiwan, People's Republic of China, yung POC, PROC, Malaysia under the British colony, United States of America, filed complaint and claim against the Axis power. Itong Amerika, nagkaso sa Axis power na kung saan nagnakaw ng mga precious commodity. Ito sila yung Germany, yung Japan, at saka yung Italy. Kaya klaro, doon sa pag-review natin ng tinatawag na Series 22, yung memorandum, na kung saan nanggaling sa Maharlikan Nations, kung paano tayo nag-print ng Gzion currency, nandoon nakalagay. Now, that their assets and properties were looted and brought, hidden, and buried somewhere in the world, particularly in the Philippine Islands. So the International Court of Justice gave all nations 30 calendar years starting from November 20. So in 1945, ito maganda, to hunt and claim. Hala, grabe na. Hanap na, kaya nalalaman na nila kung saan nililibing. Saan daw nilibing, saan daw ginito, saan binabarid, na even though Karen Hodes, the World Bank officer, informed the whole world that some of the gold was buried in a hidden place within the Philippines. So nagsimula ngayon ang 1945 to hunt and claim to recover the Allied Nation alleged looted assets, properties up to November 20, 1975. Now, itong 1946, nung end ng World War II, the United States Congress passed the Reparation Act that the United States government will pay $500 per person, Filipinos. Ano itong bayad na ito, yung $500 na ito? As war reparation of World War II, with condition that a bilateral trade agreement between the United States of America and the Philippines must be executed and implemented, and it was supported by the trade bill and the Tidings-McDuffie law. O, naalala ko pa itong Tidings-McDuffie law nung elementary ako. Ngayon, binigay ba sa mga Pilipino itong War Reparation Funds na kung saan klarong-klaro na nagpas sila ng War Reparation Act that the United States government will pay $500 per person, per Pilipino as war reparation of World War II, a condition that a bilateral agreement between the United States and the Philippines must be executed and implemented and was supported by the Trade Bill Act and the Tidings-McDuffie law. So ngayon, in 1946, July 1946, the United States President sent Independence Proclamation to the Philippine government, received and read by, sino nagbasa? Paul M. Tawag nito? Read by Philippine President during the time, sino? Gerardo A. Rojas. With American High Commissioner Paul V. McNutt, with condition that the Philippines will have independence if the Philippine government will pay all the debts of all municipalities, provinces, cities of the Philippines, and other expenses including the $20 million paid to the Spanish government based on the December 10, 1898 Treaty of Paris spent by the American government since 1898. O diba? Kung grabe, nga pangloko, Santissima Trinidad. Kayo ang nagbenta, tapos ang may-ari pa magbayad. Now, take note. The Philippine government failed to pay the amount required by the American government and resulted no Independence Day is declared. July 4 dapat Pero grabe, no? Bigyan lang namin kayo ng kalayaan kapag bayaran ninyo ang $20 million. So the British government gave, in 1957, the British government gave independence to Malaysia. Okay? Kasi yung Malaysia under sa British government during the time. Kaya nga yung Malaysia, kinuha nila yung Sabah, nirentahan nila yung Sabah sa Sultanate of Sulu ng 5,000, naging 5,300 until now, pinag-aagawan pa na dapat ibalik. Binigay yun na regalo ng Sultanate of Brunei sa Sultanate of Sulu in a gift that sapagkat na-suppress nila yung inside rebellion. Okay? So, September 12, the United States, tingnan natin, madali na lang, the United Nations Secretariat held an illegal plebiscite. Illegal plebiscite regarding the Sabah Island, giving the people living to choose from Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippine Islands, and Malaysia was chosen. Bakit binigay doon sa Malaysia? So note, illegal plebiscite because Sabah was the illegitimate owner based on 1878 lifetime lease agreement between the owner, Sultanate of Sulu, and British North Borneo Company, and the United Nations Secretariat has no jurisdiction to administer and calling of all the plebiscite. So in 1963 onward, the Sultanate of Sulu gave the authority to the Philippine government to represent the Sultanate of Sulu to claim the island of Sabah to United Nations, particularly in the International Court of Justice against any claimant. So that's why, in 1965, di ba naging presidente si Ferdinand Marcos, 1965 to 1966, President Ferdinand Marcos filed protest against to the Malaysian government and to for the illegal plebiscite held in favor to Malaysia. The protest was accepted and elevated to the International Court of Justice, and it was included in the ICJ case. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng United Nations case 4136 against the Axis power. Sino yung Axis power? Germany, Japan, and Italy. In 1967 to 1969, there is what we call a summit in Manila that became a treaty in Manila with main agenda is to stop the war against Vietnam, and it was hosted by President Ferdinand E. Marcos. The real intention is to introduce global solution on the incoming economic crisis by using the gold paper collateral loan. Oh my God. Okay makinig kayo In 1866 to 1966 to 1967, the summit in Manila that became a treaty in Manila with the main agenda is to stop the war against Vietnam. It was hosted by the President Ferdinand E. Marcos. What is the real intention of that summit in Manila? Solution on the incoming economic crisis by using the gold paper collateral without physical gold. Naintindihan ninyo? Tapos ako ngayon hanapan ninyo ako ng gold. Na-explain nyo na ba mga negative people? Hanapan ninyo ako ng gold. Thank you so much for this, what we call this information. Now, introduce global solution on the incoming economic crisis by using the gold paper collateral without physical gold that can be used for printing of new currency with gold backup or used as collateral to get the developmental loan. So all nations present in the summit agreed to President Ferdinand E. Marcos' proposal, including the United States. So therefore, the summit proposal was signed globally up to year 1967 to become a treaty. So that 54 nations received loan that will be used for reconstruction, redevelopment of their individual nation. Kakatapos kasi ng gera Payable in long-term, bond in different maturities up to 50 years. Bilangin ninyo up to 50 years. So therefore, there is what we call the establishment of the trust. So, International Banking Commission, yung IBC, headed by President Ferdinand Marcos, created for the purpose to be the receiver of all payment of all loans of the 54 nations. So upon maturity of individual loans, that proceed funds will extend that loan to others nation not yet availed to develop their nations till all nations in the world receive loan and use to develop their nation. So, in 1975, November 20, 1975, the first 30 years granted to all nations sa claimant to claim, hand to recovered lapse, resulting nothing. And all frustrated claimant nation failed to find a single gold bar assets. And the nation claimant for motion for reconsideration asking for another 30 years to hand claim in the Philippine island. It was granted by the International Court of Justice. Kaya puno na lang ng mina ang kabundukan ng Pilipinas. Kahanap nila ng gold. Now, in 1976, the Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos received war payment on war reparation funds from the United States of America for Filipino people amounting 500 per person. US dollar yan $500 per person. Per head after the final decision, after the final condition of the United States Congress Reparation Act of 1946 under the Trade Bill Act and the Tiding Max-Duffield Law to have a bilateral trade agreement between the Philippines and the United States was executed. So to continue the story, the September 10, 1976, since President Ferdinand Marcos cannot send or bring the payment made by the United States government forward, reparation fund to the Philippine Islands, to the Filipino people, because of the outstanding case to the International Court of Justice. So that all nations were granted another 30 years starting November 20, 1975 to claim, hunt, dig for the looted assets and properties by the Axis power to Germany, Italy, and Japan. So ngayon, during that time of World War II, President Ferdinand Marcos decided to use the war reparation funds to buy back the Philippine Islands under the Land Original Certificate of Title OCT 779 with constant measurement of 452,000 square kilometers under the Sovereign Agreement signed by United States President Gerald Ford and Philippine President Edralin Marcos, okay, in the amount of $20 billion or what we call this 10,000 metric tons of heritage gold. So the $20 billion was deposited at Bank of America for time deposit. Time deposit scheme of 25 years up to September 11, 2001. So ngayon, earning 4% per annum collected by the United States government. So that's why on September 11, 2001, the 10,000 metric tons of heritage gold was secretly deposited underground vaults of the World Trade Center. Saan? Sa New York. Doon nilagay sa World Trade Organizations. O sa World Trade Center sa New York with a condition na that the US government may choose from $20 tons of heritage gold with very important decision. Okay, first, ano ang important decision? Number 1. Yan yung buti itong i-discuss natin to para malaman yung lahat. Total, maglalabasan man ito eh. Sige. First, that the United Nations or the United States Congress will have non-voting ratification in recognizing the sovereign agreement of September 10, 1976. Number 2, peaceful turnover of all the land, water, and territory under the territorial jurisdiction of the Land Original Certificate titled Number 7 measurement of 452,000 square kilometers, including the island of Sabah, Labuan, Spratly Group of Islands, Scarborough Shoal, some parts of Formosa, Taiwan, Hawaii, Guam, Palau, and Yes Island. So that's why in 1980, September 12, 1980, okay, September 12, 1980, wait lang, tingnan natin ito kaya nag-back up yung ating, tawag nito, yung ating, marami kasing mga nagme-message, no? So sabi sana, hindi muna sila magme-message. Ang problema, message man sila ng message, sige, idiretsuhin na lang natin to. So yun yung mga pangyayari. So tingnan natin, huwag munang mainip. Para at least malaman ninyo, maklaro ninyo, hanggang sa maintindihan ninyo kung ano na talaga ang mga nangyayari. Sapagkat hindi ako napapagod mag-discuss ng mga ganitong bagay. Okay? So, parang katagal-tagal, no? Simula noong ganito, ganyan, hanggang ganito. Okay. Para mas lalong maintindihan. Now, marami kasi nag-message. Diyos ko Lord, sana sabi ko gani, wag na lang muna mag-message, no? So, in number 2 condition, peaceful turnover. So, klaro-klaro po yan. So, in September 12, 1980, at Malacanang Palace, Manila, okay, spiritual heads of the Philippine Islands and legitimate owner of the original certificate title OCT 779 with constant measurement of what we call this 452 square kilometers. So si Mother Maria sinupuan, di ba nabasa niyo yan sa letter of instruction? Mother Maria sinupuan, Mother Maria Makiling, Mother Maria Banahaw, Bernardo Carpio. We have also Condrado Ignacio, Infinito Rizal, and President Ferdinand E. Marcos signed and executed the special power of attorney to a person who have a pure heart and no spiritual interest for the said assets and properties and no personal inspiration to keep all physical precious commodities will become the authorized party administrator of OCT 779. So in 1986, February 24 to 25, the EDSA People Power Revolution, President President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos stepped down to avoid bloodsheds. So itong si Mrs. Cory Aquino took the leadership of the revolutionary government to give way to the United States government wish. Kasi nag-step down ito in 1986. So August of the same year, 1986, 25 yon, former President Jovito Salonga, after thorough investigation, due diligence, talking and discussing to Global Banking and Financial Authority with the Union Bank of Switzerland, as per convenience or conveyance of the World Bank Group. The International Court of Justice wrote a letter to President Corazon C. Aquino informing and cleared President Ferdinand E. Marcos that wealth of President Marcos was not ill-gotten wealth. It came from the Holy Father and it will be used for the welfare of the Filipino people and the people of the world. After investigating and talking to Global Financial Authority, President Corazon Aquino received the letter and knowledgeable regarding the truth that it was not ill-gotten wealth. So the letter sent with acknowledgement of President Ronald Reagan, Queen Elizabeth, and President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos. In September 29, 1999, President Marcos left the material world. 1989, namatay si Ferdinand Marcos, left the material world and left last will and testament and huling kalooban at tipan addressed to Committee of 300, the United Nations organizations, to the people of the world, particularly to the Filipino people, Philippines. So, on June 29, 1992, after almost 6 years after the death of President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos, the first global conspiracy meeting against the Filipino people was held at Geneva, Switzerland, headed by Queen Elizabeth, the chairman of the Committee of 300. It was attended and signed by almost 200 nations, monarchy, organizations, including the Philippine President Corazon C. Aquino, not to give any wealth, Holy Father divine wealth, prepared by President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos for the welfare of the Filipino people, now the future generations to come. So year 2000 start the payment of loans. That's why we have the Filipinas 2000. That start of receiving payment from 54 nations. Borrower that portions will be used for the development of the Philippine island and extend loans to other nations, particularly the poor nations. Kung anong nangyari? So September 11, 2001, many secret divulged public event. Number 1, the first World Trade Center at New York, New York, USA were attacked by alleged terrorist group headed by Osama bin Laden. Diba? Natumba ang World Trade Center September 11, 2001, na kung saan sabi nila ano tawag nito? Kagagawa ng mga terorista. Yan ang mga secret divulged public event. Number 2, it was also the due date of September 10, 1976 Sovereign Federal Agreement on the buyback of the Philippine Islands under OCT 9 number 779 with constant measurement. Na taon, di ba? Coincidence lang ba yun? Number 3, it was also the due date that the American government can collect one of the two items. First, the deposit of the payment proceed of 20 billion US dollars, 4% interest per annum, for a total of 40 billion US dollars with interest. Fourth, the 10,000 metric tons of heritage gold with estimated value of 20 trillion US dollar from the Sovereign Federal Agreement after complying the conditions stipulated of United Nations Congress, non-voting ratifications, conditions, and peaceful turnover of the land, water, air, territorial jurisdiction under the OCT 779, constant measurement of 452,000 square kilometers. That includes the Labuan, Spratly Islands, Group of Islands, Scarborough Shoal, ano pa ba, some of the Formosa, yung Taiwan, Hawaii, Guam, Palau, and some West Indies island. And panglima, it was also the due date for the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China, Taiwan, Formosa, Malaysian government to turn over peacefully to the people of the land, water, and territory of Sabah, Labuan. Can you just imagine that? Pinabomba nila ang World Trade Organization, ang World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Yun pala, yan ang due date na dapat nilang ibalik ang kayamanan sa mga Pilipino. Magbayad ng kanilang utang. That's why January 25, 2006, the much-awaited final decision of the International Court of Justice na hindi pinapalabas sa media on the ICJ case number 4136 regarding the alleged looted assets and properties of the Axis power, yung Germany, Japan, and Italy during the World War II were brought hidden buried in the Philippine island were all denied and final decision of the International Court of Justice. First, all the assets to be found on the Philippine island under land original certificate of title number 771 with constant measurement of 452,000 square kilometers belong to the people, Filipino people. Second, to be administered by persons with a pure heart and self-interest to keep the precious commodity located in the Philippine Islands for personal interest, supported by Mother Banhaw, Mother Makiling, and Mother Sinukuan. Third, no more motion for reconsideration and that will be archived forever. Fourth, recognizing the September 10, 1976 Sovereign Government Agreement signed by United States of America between Gerald Ford and the Philippine President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos. The buyback of Philippine Islands under the OCT number 779 with constant measurement. Tingnan mo dyan. So ngayon, itong nangyari. In the world were given copies of the final decisions of International Court of Justice, including the President of the International, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But instead, tingnan mo makinig kayo. Yung decisions na yan ng ICJ, binigyan ito ng copies ang lahat ng mga leaders. International Court of Justice including the Philippine President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But instead of informing the good news to the Filipino people, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo started to negotiate to sell the Philippine nation treasure of 1,810 to 2,000 metric tons of heritage gold amounting to 110 billion US dollars, positive or negative, to China, and selling of Sabah and Labuan to Malaysian government, memorandum of agreement for her self-interest and benefits. So September 14, 2006, the second global conspiracy meeting against the Filipino people was held at Bonn, Germany. headed again by Chairman of the Committee of 300, Queen Elizabeth, no? Windsor II, with the knowledge and connivance of the Philippine President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, again, not to give any single amount to the funds or divine assets matured prepared by President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos. Can you just imagine that? For the better future of the Filipino people. So former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, by Queen Elizabeth, eliminate the material world, the present future administrator of the Philippine Islands, and the divine wealth of the Holy Father. So September 16, 2006, the International Court of Justice Ad Hoc Committee released the resolution for the absolute closure of the ICG case number 4136 and denying any changes for assigning of King Antonio Santiago Martin as the sole authorized signatory except for the authorized party with pure heart supported coming from the Mother Banahaw, Mother Makiling, and Mother Sinukuan. And time will come, you will know that different mother. The last will and testaments o huling kalooban, atipan, and other documents made and executed by President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos were given to the Committee of 300 through the United Nations organizations with very strict instructions that any person, organization, monarchy, nation that will not follow the instruction will suffer spiritual and material disaster that does not experience before. Klaro yan. Tandaan nyo yan. Kaya lahat kayo ng mga claimants, mag-suffer kayo. Lahat kayo ng mga bansa na nagpahirap sa lahing pinili, mag-suffer kayo. The last will and testament, including o huling kalooban, atipan, and other documents made and executed by the President Ferdinand Emmanuel Edralin Marcos were given to the Committee of 300s through the United Nations organizations with very strict instruction that any person, organization, monarchy that will not follow the instruction will suffer spiritual and material disaster that does not experience before. Anong nangyayari sa mga saan grabe ang pag-claim? Look at China. Look at America. Look at Italy. Look at Germany. Look at Japan. So 2008 mid-year final ultimatum due date for payment of all loan by the 54 nations. Borrowers internationally failed to pay their individual loan. Borrowers internationally, take note, failed to pay individual loans. That's why President Ferdinand Edralin Marcos' last will and testament o huling kalooban at tipan, the world suffered the global economic crisis starting in the subprime real estate crisis that lost 15 trillion and the start of the economic, financial, banking, trade, and environmental crisis, crisis after crisis, disasters after disasters, onward till the time, okay, the Committee of 300 members will recognize the truth to follow the final decisions of the International Court of Justice. That's why the United Nations or United States in particular to follow the September 10, 1976 Sovereign Agreement and the 54 countries less Kuwait and Syria, kasi ang Kuwait lang at saka Syria ang nakabayad, borrowers nation to pay their obligations, loan and interest to the trust. Na-remember ninyo kung ano yung sinabi ko sa inyo? Yan ang ginawa ng Maharlika Nation, distribute the Gzion to all 197 countries. Pero hindi ninyo ako pinaniniwalaan. Lalabas at lalabas ang dokumento na gugulat sa mundo. Now listen, on 2010, President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo finished her term. President Benigno Simeon C. Aquino III became her successor. A former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo will receive several crime or criminal cases that resulted her being in hospital, jail, have the unexplainable disease. She now suffer. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, Big Banks, Citibank, HSBC, the BA, many banks, corporations, developed nations became bankrupt, devaluated fiat currency. And take note, all individual, organization, monarchies who intentionally failed to follow President Ferdinand Idralin Marcos' last will and testament or huling kalooban na tipan will suffer unexplainable spiritual and material disaster after disaster. That the main reason why former President Arroyo in her present condition became former President Gloria intentionally failed to follow all the instructions contained. Now, starting the front runners, invaders of the Philippine Islands, the Malaysia financing MILF and other insurgency group to have Sabah and Labuan permanently, China using the artificial power of fiat currency, invading the Philippine Islands of Spratly Group of Islands and Scarborough Shoal, and the United States playing double blade inside. No, the job that both are still looking for the World War II. Alleged looted assets, treasures, precious commodities in the Philippines, land and water territory. That is why in 2014, the Philippines national treasure of 2,000 metric tons of heritage gold with value of 110 billion US dollars by President Ferdinand Marcos or the welfare of the Filipino people and negotiated by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo were able to sold to the People's Republic of China by the relatives of the present government. Now, the island of Sabah and Labuan, owned by the Filipino people under OCT 779 with constant measurement 452,000 square kilometer, being negotiated by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo to sell to Malaysian government, is ready to be approved by the Philippine Congress through Bangsamoro Basic Law or BBL. At the same time, the Economic Patriotic Law within this year before President Pinoy term, 2016 ito the President of the Philippines, the new island of ancient Maharlika, will become the material financial center, universal fund organizations under International Bank of Maharlika, and spiritual center, universal kingdom of the Creator or universal divine government of the globe, Mother Earth. The will of God always prevailed against the will of men. God bless us all. Thank you. At maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Pero bago po yan, babasahin ko lang sa inyo. So ngayon, ang mangyayari po dyan, total hindi man tayo pinaniniwalaan, pues ito lang yung aking masasabi sa inyo. Simula na ito ng paniningil sa inyong lahat. Kaya hindi ninyo matatakasan ang will ni Bathala, kahit na ano pang mangyari. So tandaan ninyo, the 186 trillion World War I Reparation Fund illegally released the Dark Cabal One World government who manipulated the global economy of the world 4,000 years will end now. Kaya palagi kong sinasabi sa inyo, the coronavirus is a cover-up. Sabihin man ninyong biological weapon, sabihin man yung airborne, sabihin man ninyong saan makukuha, but you cannot hide. Magtago na kayo. Magtago na kayo. Now ngayon, the people of the world from economic slavery, and now to release the people of the world from economic slavery, World War I Reparation Fund of 186 trillion US dollars were illegally released from Trust Bank in the Philippines, is now on recovery mode. Mass arrest of dark cabal bankers, monarchy, politicians, and elite group by the Light Secret Service is ongoing with instructions of pull out all investment to all stock exchange, crash, cannot be stopped by any nations or organizations. Okay? Economic earthquake of intensity 16 to 18.6 is now happening. The distribution of the United States $186 trillion started in the China, Hong Kong, Taiwan stock exchange total investment, US trillion, less 7 trillion pull out, pull out secretly, giving empty stocks numbers to the extreme media and public. United Kingdom, a matter of 55,000 or 55 trillion US dollars. United States of America, 52 trillion US dollars. Philippines, 6 trillion US dollars. All were invested in stock exchange globally. The new currency system will be used using currency with precious commodity backed up, and that is what they call the golden Gzion. The new central bank of all central bank, International Bank of Maharlika, will save the people of the world from total economic chaos and economic slavery. That is why I keep on asking the presence of the President. When President Duterte declared that the Gzion will become a legal tender of all of Philippine Islands, the problem of the world will automatically vanish. This is not a pandemic. This is a global economic war. Okay? So total chaos and economic slavery, evil China, evil intention to the Filipino, sent 2,000 metric tons of fake rice with plastic to the Philippines. Aside in Mindanao, Davao, it was already in Metro Manila and Luzon kept by these Chinese people. Rice evil cartel being paid by the Chinese authorities, and aborted shipment of another 10 million or 10,000 metric tons of fake rice with plastic to be used. Okay, to have mass poisoning of the Filipino people because of non-cooperation regarding the issuance in South China Sea, the Spratly Islands, and Scarborough Shoal that brought to the United Nations Convention Law of the Sea or UNCLOS. There is what we call spiritual notices from my friend. Organized religions reach to an end. The new spiritual practices that members contribute piety to support for the expansion and expenses of the organized religions will be reversed. That spiritual organization will give priority blessing rather than to receive it. Will it start in the new islands of the ancient Maharlika, Philippines, in the coming days. Reminder, the will of God always prevailed against the will of men. Maraming salamat, and thank you so much for giving this very informative. And maraming salamat for respecting me. I know you know me. This is now the time that I really need to inform the whole world and wait for the message from Maharlikan nations addressed to all the people of the world. Now you know the real story why I really wanted to fight the Cabal Group. My life is a state of exposing this sapagkat matagal nila itong tinago. And I challenge you, you cannot defeat, because the will of God always prevail against the will of man. Hinamak ninyo ako, but people will put trust in me, including all the spiritual warriors, light workers. You know who you are. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity with or without permission of yours. I know you respect me. That is why I am very much confident to tell the whole world the real story of Maharlika. That's why I challenge you, historian. Where did you get your knowledge? Why you cover up? My life is at stake. My dignity is at stake, same as the dignity and life of Mr. President. But I ask again, humble calling to the President of the Philippines. When President Duterte recognized Maharlika Nation as tribal independent nation and recognized the Gzion as legal tender, the problem will totally erase and the Philippines will become more powerful nation under universal divine government. Thank you so much. Have a nice day and God bless. Ingat po kayo.